Welcome to the Women in Business radio show with Sian Murphy, connecting women in business around the globe.
Hello and welcome into the Women in Business radio show. I'm Sian Murphy and my co-host today, who is busy photographing, which she would be when I tell you who she is. It's Katrina Festorazzi, who is the founder of Fast2Foto. Welcome, Katrina.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's a real pleasure to have you in the studio. And I should mention that Katrina is also the media reels consultant who will be working with us at the Women in Business Big Show 2023. So she's at the moment, she's playing around with my phone. I said, there have never been such times. We're going to have like proper video, proper photos, but that's it. So welcome, Katrina. Welcome into the studio. Our special guest in the studio today is Laura Burke, who is the founder of Laura Burke Training and Consultancy, and she is a mental health professional. She's been working in mental health for over 10 years. She also has the podcast You Do You Hun, which you can get on all platforms all around the globe. But I also happen to know that it's on iTunes and Spotify. So if you go on, you're going to find it. Wherever you go hunting, you're going to find it. And she has recently begun her mental health training business called Laura Burke Training and Consultancy, which offers mental health training to corporate companies and also individuals. So welcome into the studio, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Also in the studio with us today, we have Becky Collwell of Heart to Heart Sales. Also in the studio, we have Bronson. He's not actually in the studio at the moment, but I'm giving him a shout out because Bronson is a star. Bronson is starring in the Nick Hope Popcast. What is that?
I do.
It's my own writing. What is it?
Nick Cope podcast.
Oh,
I've even got it wrong. Podcast. It's a podcast, not a podcast.
You can't even rely on the professionals. And it's her own child, listeners. This is her own child, which is on CBeebies. Now, Bronson actually isn't in the studio right this moment. He's outside the studio playing on
my iPhone.
He's playing on an iPhone, but he may well come in, and you're going to hear that. So, just so that you know, he's with us. Also in the studio is Mark Jennings, who you probably won't hear much from. Mark is here helping me today, just in case something goes horribly wrong. I fall off my chair, somebody needs to play with the knobs and buttons, that sort of thing. So welcome, Mark. Once again, if you hear somebody rustling around, it's probably Mark.
We will just blame him.
Yes. Anything that happens today, anything at all, it will be his fault. And that's after the show as well. Doesn't matter what it is, it's going to be something he's done wrong. So what are we going to be talking about today? So our main topic for this show is and of course you know this may change, but just to give you an idea of what we're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about the importance of mental health as both business owners and leaders. So your mental health, if you are a one-man band, it is about your mental health. If you have business partners, if you have staff, if you have freelancers, if you have people that you work with that you also want to sort of keep up and running as well, then the show, this is what we're going to be talking about. This is what the show is about today. But first of all, I think we have some announcements, don't we? You could do them, Katrina.
I'll give it a go. Do you know what? I'm really excited about this one. So the Women in Business radio show.
No, it's Big Show.
We are. No, that's where we are today.
Yes.
But obviously,
it's because I wrote it down wrong.
Yeah. So I'm reading from a piece of paper that I maybe.
See, I told you, didn't I? What did I say? I said I've written this out. I've done some prep.
It's my own fault for not proofreading before. So I'm going to take that on the chin too.
I've done preparation and it's wrong.
Okay, so we're talking about the big show.
The big show,
because
yes.
it's a big show. 10th of August at Longfield Academy, which is near Ebbsfleet. Great venue, really easy to get to as well, and great parking, most important. Especially if you're loading, your bits and bobs.
Stuff.
Lots of it. I'm looking forward to it. We've got some great people there. I'm going to be there.
Yes,
so of course,
we've got about 15 speakers, so it's really quite a packed day. It's free entry,
and everyone loves it. The feedback from last year was amazing.
It's good fun, actually. One of the things I wanted to achieve was to make it affordable to exhibit. So there is exhibitor space from £25 to make it affordable to exhibit at a larger event, but also to make it fun. So nobody expects it's going to be fine if you don't want to spend £1,000 on branded gonks and whimsies, you want pens and coasters and that sort of thing, you're going to be absolutely fine. It's get your crayons out. It's about telling your story and having a really good day.
And everyone just talks to each other. Like last year, I mean, I've been to a couple, but I really enjoyed last year's. I absolutely loved it. I really, really did, and got on with everybody.
I think sometimes one of the things that we tend to forget, I tend to forget as well, as an event organiser, if I'm not careful, I can become very focused on people coming in through the door, as opposed to the people that are inside exhibiting. And, you know, the most powerful connections that you can make are with the people either side of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not necessarily people. I mean, we love to have people coming in through the door. It's about bringing everybody together. But we sometimes, if there's a huge footfall and loads of people coming in, you can forget about you forget about the people that are actually around you, and they can be the most powerful collaborations that you can make.
I've collaborated with 2 people from that event already.
Because that's really what it's about. It's about collaborating with other people, and it's, you know, when you go along to networking, you have your 30-second spiel or your 60 seconds. When you have a table and you get an opportunity to tell your story, and you go beyond having a leaflet and a pull-up banner, and actually sort of start to tell your story on what you're exhibiting, people get a much better sense of who you are. It's much easier to get that across. Than it is, because nobody wants to become a card thruster, do they?
No, definitely not. No. And it's true. People, you connect with people, and then that's when you go, oh, that's a really nice person. I really loved them, and then you will get referrals before that person's actually probably even looked at your website or anything like that. So it's key. But in regards to listening to this show, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. Can you talk about that?
I presume people are listening.
I think so.
Yeah, because otherwise, how would they know? But to listen to future shows or find out any more about...
that's an excellent point, actually.
Yes, exactly. Hi, welcome. You're listening. But to listen to more announcements coming up to the 10th of August, and obviously fabulous shows, guests that come on down here. We've got... You can hear us on Spotify, Heart, Audible, and also Substack, which is what I heard about today, which is a very interesting platform.
Yes, which is the platform we're now on. So although we do have a website, most of the activity and everything that we're doing is actually taking part on Substack. So that's the Women in Business Radio Show.substack.com. And the reason that we're doing that is it enables you to have conversations, so you can comment on individual posts. When we get it going, there'll be chats. So it's a bit like Facebook, but without the algorithm.
It's a great app.
It is.
Really is. But you said you could also just access it through the web as well.
Yeah, so you can look at it on a computer, or you can have an app. We can email episodes to you. So if you subscribe, if you want to, you can have emails sent to you, emailed to you, or you can just go and look at them on the app. If you subscribe as a paid member for $6.95 a month, which is not a massive amount of money, we're going to be starting a global Women in Business networking.
I love it. I've actually got goosebumps now. I'm really excited.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
Do you know when there's these things like you should do? Think, why did I not do this before? It's like slap myself on the forehead. I don't know, but sometimes things happen when things are supposed to happen. So it's now time to start global networking. It'll be once a month. I think it's going to be on the second Wednesday of the month, between 6 and 7, because so many of our listeners, 6 and 7 p.m. UK time, because so many of our listeners are in the States. We want them to be able to join in, because at the moment, if they come on the show, they have to get up at like some stupid... I don't know how they manage it. So it means that within reason, nearly everybody can take part, and it's just going to be an opportunity for just to connect, collaboration, just networking. I don't think that's bad for $6.95 a month.
No, I think that's brilliant. And it's an investment, isn't it? I mean, it's about learning, constantly learning, and that is...
always winning.
Absolutely.
That's what we're doing.
Very, very small cost.
It's not a lot, is it? It's not a lot. Yeah. So I wanted it to be affordable for everybody, actually, because there are different places in the world that have different economies. So $6.95 a month sat here, or perhaps in the States, it may not seem like a huge amount of money. But in somewhere else, everything's relative. It could be a colossal amount of money. And I have to say, if anybody really cannot genuinely cannot afford that, we will give it to them. It's not a problem. There isn't some terrible application form. We're not going to publicise the fact that you've got a free one. But if you really can't, if you genuinely can't, more than happy to let you join in.
Oh, that's lovely.
So we can gift you a subscription. We're wonderful, aren't we? Aren't we just lovely?
You are.
We're just lovely, lovely, lovely.
Absolutely. It's about sharing the love. Absolutely.
Yeah, but nobody will know. Nobody will know. Just say something. Right, okay. I think we need to focus on something else, don't we? I think we need to sort of bring Laura into the studio properly.
Hello.
And find out. Let me just check in with the time here. How long have I been waffling on for? Quite a while.
You waffle away.
So, Laura, tell us about your story. How did you get to where you are now?
Oh, wow. Good question. Okay, so as I said, I've been working in mental health over 10 years. I had mental health experiences myself, had depression when I was younger, suicidal feelings, etc. And I was just talking about this today, actually, about how I found it really fascinating when I was younger that two people could have similar experiences and one person could be thriving and another person may need additional support. I found that really interesting, why that might be. I also, at the time, I remember when I was younger, I saw things about a schizophrenic killer and things like that, and really stigmatising language when it came to talking about mental illness. And that really fascinated me, because what we actually do know when we look at people who've got schizophrenia, for instance, they're more likely to be victims of a crime than a perpetrator. So there was a lot going on, a lot that I was thinking about as time went on, and I think I was going through my own journey and, recognising that I became very, very unwell, and it was a long process, and it took me a long time to get to where I needed to be. And I wanted to support other people through that. And I knew that is possible for people. And there is a sort of journey when it comes to mental health. So from around 16, I started volunteering in different organisations, started to kind of get my passion for mental health. And then my first role after university was CAMS. So if anyone doesn't know, that's Children and Adolescent Mental Health Services. So I worked with young people who were at real risk of harm to themselves, other people, and they was in hospital. And I loved it, absolutely loved it, because you see so much growth and there's actually so much hope when it comes to mental health. And I think I just wanted to change the industry a little bit. I wanted to get people to understand that mental illness doesn't mean, that stereotypical locked up, padded walls. It isn't like that. It's literally, a nice place where you've got education, you've got groups, you've got different people coming in and supporting people. And I just wanted to do something that made a difference and give back. And I think when you've had a breakdown and you've been on the floor, you can resonate with other people's experiences. I've had a long career, got involved in lots of different things, and absolutely loved it. And it's something that I'll always do.
So, where are you now in your business?
Well, so I left a charity last year, so I worked for Mind, and I recently established my own mental health training company. So that has been official since January this year, actually. And what I've been doing is going into business and effectively teaching them the tools and techniques to better their mental health, because I think if I can get into companies and reach people who don't know where to access support, who don't even understand what mental health is, I can make such a difference there. Because you go into these companies and some people are like, what's mental health? Or he's got mental health. And I'm like, no, we've all got mental health. What you mean is mental illness,
Yes.
know? So I guess I'm coming in to disrupt stigma, essentially, and to teach people how to look after themselves, because a lot of us don't have that education. A lot of us aren't taught how to manage anger, how to manage anxiety, how to manage low mood depression. And an hour's workshop for me, if I can kind of disrupt their thinking and tell them it's not their fault they're like this, it's a fact if they've been too strong for too long or they've been dealing with too much stress, it's understandable why you're feeling this way. We can make a lot of change together, and that's what I aim to do within this company. So, I've been busy, which is good. I love that.
So, looking at your key clients and who they are or are going to be, what sort of people are you working with?
So all different types, really. So I've been working with schools, colleges, small businesses.
So are you working with, is it with the teachers or the pupils?
So it's more the teachers. So I'm doing kind of training for adults predominantly.
Got you. Okay.
So I'm going in there and helping them to support others and to support themselves, essentially. But I've been going into whoever will have me, really. I'm not really fussy. I just want to make a difference. So yeah, I'll take it. If you've got work for me, I'll take it. Don't matter where it is. We could be in a farm. We could be. No, I'm joking. But I will take the work. But yeah, predominantly my clients are people that they're noticing a change in their company. They're noticing that people aren't right. They're noticing that there's low productivity. They're noticing there's a lot of stress. They're noticing a lot of negativity. And I'm going in offering workshops bespoke to them to help them learn different tools to manage with life, because life's stressful. Life is very stressful. You talked about money, cost of living, different things like that. That's very much on people's minds. So if I can go in and try and take off some pressure, that's what I'm there to do, essentially.
I was going to ask, is there a particular industry, genre of business that you find you're getting more inquiries from?
At the moment, a lot of corporate companies. So I'm doing a lot of work there. So big industries, big companies that are noticing that, especially after COVID, people are wiped. There's a lot of burnout. And they're trying to instill change because there's a lot of sickness. And a lot of people are telling me that they notice a change in someone, but they don't know how to approach it, and they're not feeling confident enough to do that. So these individuals, they dip, and then they go off sick, and they don't get the support that they need. And actually, if we can get hold of that and start at the very beginning, we can really support people so it doesn't get to the case where, they're off work. Because we know as well that, it is good to be at work. A lot of people need routine. We thrive on routine. If it's a good place to be, that can improve our mental health. Not all companies are good, I understand that. And some people are like, get me away from this company. But, I think it's about catching it early on. And I think it's about giving people the confidence to approach someone. Because I was talking earlier to Becky, and when you are experiencing poor mental health, it's very hard to advocate for yourself. It's very hard to stand up and say, I'm not feeling great, I need help, this is the support I need. And that's why we all need to reach in instead of assuming that everyone's going to reach out. And that's what I'm there to do, is to kind of disrupt that, get people to understand what triggers might be, what warning signs there might be, so people can start to reach in a little bit more.
So let's have a talk about some of those triggers and warning signs, and also how you can approach it, because it must be really, really difficult. You see something odd, something different, a change, and it's like, what do you say? Yeah. I mean, what do you do? It's a bit like when somebody's grieving and people will say, that they were grieving and everybody just ignored me. And it's not because all of your friends have suddenly become unkind. It's because they actually don't know what to say. And they, I suppose, a fear that if they do say something, it's going to be the wrong thing. And they're actually going to make it worse or sound insensitive or be insensitive. So what sort of things are we looking for? Because I suspect that it's not necessarily people running round sort of throwing hammers and knives at the walls.
No,
it's not.
No.
It could just be, just like a feeling. That person's just a little bit.
And I think that's really good you recognise that, because it's like a gut feeling that people have. We can sense it. We're really good at sensing something in somebody. And I think the very first thing that we all need to recognise is we need to take the pressure off ourselves first before we walk into that conversation, because a lot of us think we need to go into a conversation with someone and we need to change their life. We need to make them love life. We need to make them change in that moment. We need to make them go, yippee, life's great. And actually that conversation is not going to do that. So, we put so much pressure and we say we have to change someone's life. You're not going to. You're really not. But what you can do, if you ask someone how they're doing and really ask, what you do, you make them feel cared for, you make them feel valued, you make them feel listened to. That in itself is going to be enough for that person. That might even empower them to go and get the support they need, might give them the hope they needed when they thought no one was interested in them. So I think it's firstly, take pressure off you, because people they go, I don't know what to say. Do you know what? It isn't about what you say. It's about how you make them feel, honestly. And I think what you said about grief is a really good one. I would even say sometimes, and I have said this before, I don't even know what to say right now, but I'm so glad you told me. I'm so glad you told me.
That's a good line.
Yeah. And, look, I'm happy to sit here with you, or I'm happy to listen, or, look, I'm here to listen to you today. Because there's nothing you can say that's going to make it better. Grief's hard. You're not going to bring that person back. But if you give someone that space to vent, to say how hard this is, and to say, you know what, this does sound tough, that's something different. Because what do a lot of us do when I say, how are you? What do we all say?
Oh, everything's fine.
What do we say?
I'm great.
Do you know we say I'm fine on average 7 times in a day? Are you ever
Really?
that fine? I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm happy, I'm miserable.
I
go through the motions.
I could be better.
Yeah, exactly.
Go, all right.
Yes, people panic.
And people panic.
Because they don't expect that. They don't expect that answer.
But the other side of it is sometimes I'll say I'm fine or yes, I'm good, and it's not a truth. It's not necessarily the whole truth, but it's not a lie either. And it's because I'm done. I don't want to explain to you why I'm tired.
And that's fine.
So, but if I say, actually, do you know, I don't feel 100% today, the next thing, very often on, is to try and solve it.
Yes,
to actually give a solution.
Yes.
And I was guilty of that as well. If somebody said to me, I'm not feeling 100%, I'd feel like, okay, I've got to somehow solve this. And actually, all I need to say is, oh, okay, thanks. Thanks for telling me. Yeah. And it sounds a bit hard, but right, okay. And what are we doing today? Have you got your notes? Sort of next. Sometimes you don't want to dwell on it.
Yeah, no, sometimes you don't. I agree, and I think you can sense in the person if they want to talk or not. And I think it'd be a case of, so I'd say to you, Sian, how are you doing? And if you said I'm fine, and I was thinking, oh, Sian's not fine. There's something a bit different with Sian. I'd be saying, are you sure you're okay? I've noticed something different in you. I'm here to listen. So what I'm doing there, I'm asking again, but I'm also saying I've noticed a change in you. So let's explore that together. And that's something a lot of people don't do. We don't ask twice. We go, how are you? I'm fine, cool. Or like you said, it could be better. And people go, panic. What do I say? I don't know what to do with this. You haven't said I'm fine. What do I do? Panic. But actually, it's about going, well, how are you doing? Talk to me. I'm here to listen to you.
But it's really funny you say that, because when people, I watch conversations on social media, and when someone puts a post up just saying, oh, this happened today, blah, 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 you always get somebody that then goes in, oh, I've had that. And then they talk about their bit, and their bit's obviously 24,000 times worse than yours. And you said, I didn't come here for that. Yeah. I was just updating family that are living in another country. And thanks for sharing that. Cheers. But no, like, oh, I'm sorry you're going through that, or this is some advice. It was all now about them. And you think, oh, go away.
Yes, yeah, really. And people say that a lot.
But people don't say that to your face, though. They're quite happy to do it on social media.
I'm not so sure, actually.
Go on.
I'm not so sure. I think there are a number of people. Very often, there will be a family member or a friend that if you say, okay, well, this is what I'm dealing with at the moment, because sometimes people sort of need to know why you're not 100% or why you're falling asleep or something.
Yeah.
They've had it, but 10 times worse. If they haven't already had it, they suspect they might have it.
Yes, that's a good one.
Or they've had something worse.
Yes, yeah.
And what you've got really is nothing to worry about.
Yes. And you know what?
Stop moaning.
Exactly, I've had that, and then I get loads of people go, "Oh, well, you haven't."
You think that's bad?
Oh, well, actually, yeah, okay, I'll shut up now.
This is
Thanks
exactly
for that.
it. It stops the conversation.
That,
It just stops your conversation, and then it becomes all about that person. That's why a lot of people don't open up about their experiences, because they get cut off. Or they get told, right, well, let's solve it. And actually, some people know how to solve it. They just want to rant. So someone else said to me the other day, I always ask someone, do you want me to help you solve this, or do you want me to just listen? And I love that.
Oh.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic, because actually that's giving them the power. That's saying to them, do you want me to help you with this, or do you want me to just sit and listen? Because that's a very different experience. I'll just listen. You rant it out, you do what you've got to do, and I'll say, look, this is tough. It is. Or I will help, we'll look at solving it together. Love that.
I want to actually say something a little bit controversial, which is that sometimes...
Yeah,
I know.
Here we go.
I know.
I better sit up.
And I'm not sure if I should say it, but I've started now, so I'm going to finish.
Okay.
Is that there does come a point, though, where I think you need to shut up about it. That if you're talking about something a lot, and you've been doing it for 10 years... and you're discussing it with a variety of different people, and you start to notice a little sort of strange grain of satisfaction that you're about to be able to talk about it again, is that it's time for you to stop.
Yeah.
Talking to other people, seek somebody that can actually help you, and stop having multiple conversations and stop having that conversation and that moan, if you like, with loads and loads of people, because all you're doing is reinforcing it, and get some proper help.
What that is, that's avoidance, because actually, if I could talk to 10 people about it, but, 10 people saying, look, you need to reach out and get support, appropriate professional support, and they might be scared. So somebody like that I'd sit down with and say, I know we spoke about you accessing services before. What's holding you back? What is it? Are you worried about accessing the GP? Are you worried about things being on your record? What are you worried about? Because that is there's something more going on there, and that's why they've not accessed support yet. And don't forget, the more time they spend talking to everyone else, that's the time wasted. They could be speaking to people that could actually help them. And I think we can do a lot within the community, and we can do a lot to support people. But yes, I agree with you equally. For me, when I had depression, I needed professional support. It wasn't a case of I could speak to family, friends about it, that I was beyond help then. And not in a bad way, but in a way that I needed, psychological support.
And I think very often when there's a serious problem, you don't actually talk about it.
No, you don't. I was very good at masking.
Becky?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there, that certainly my experiences, and I've had a lot of mental health ups and downs myself, and the reality is I didn't feel that I could talk about it, or that I was worthy of taking up the space to talk about it. So actually being invited to help, to talk, would have been incredibly helpful for me. And I'm just thinking about even, I had big bouts of depression while I was working and worked through it. And I'm sure my employers noticed a difference in me, but I just carried on working and slogging my guts out, and because I felt that was all that I could do. Whereas if somebody had actually sat down and had a conversation with me, I may well have accessed support earlier and been a more effective employee quicker than I was at that point.
So looking at the sort of the key problem that you solve, I think actually what Becky's just said sort of touches on it, which is it almost, I mean, I may be wrong here, but it's sort of almost not quite forcing that conversation, but it is sort of enabling that conversation and making sure that conversation happens. Absolutely. So if you're working with an employer or somebody who is managing, directing, whatever, with other people within their business, does that sound about right? You're in there facilitating, making sure that conversation happens and helping them, even if you can't make it happen on the day. When you're there doing training or support, making sure that at some point they know how to make that happen. Does that sound...
Yeah, definitely. I think it opens the door, doesn't it, to starting the conversation around mental health. It starts that education. And I think a lot of people aren't very educated, if I'm honest, when it comes to mental health, if they've not had that experience of mental illness, which that's great that you haven't. That's amazing. But I think there's a lot of us out there that do mask it. I was incredibly good at masking it. I'm a confident person. I'm able to still go to work. I was really, really good at able to keep calm and carry on, as they might say. But inside, I was broken. I was absolutely broken. The things my thoughts were telling me wasn't right, and I was just very scared and very alone.
So the key problem is whether, and actually I suppose in a way this applies, if we broaden it out, this applies whether it's yourself as a one-man band, totally, or whether you're involved, whether you have other people involved in your business. It's about starting that conversation, isn't it?
Completely.
It's about recognition. Something's not okay here. Don't know how bad it is yet, but something's not okay. Let's get that conversation started.
Yes.
So whether that's you and your own mental health, or you and the mental health of others that are around you in your business, it's about getting that going.
First step is knowing something's
so that's
wrong.
That's sort of what you do in your business, is you get that going.
So it's about, so I go in, deliver workshops, and it's that understanding of what stress is, anxiety, depression, the warning signs, how to support somebody, how they can support themselves. But it then does spark conversations, because many a times I go into companies and they will then, people will approach me after. We've had a good conversation. I spoke about my own mental health experiences. The barriers are broken down then.
That does, doesn't it? It says, this is okay.
Yeah,
this is okay. And it sort of gives permission that there isn't going to be ridicule, there isn't going to be judgment, there isn't going to be perhaps sackings. I think when we understand how many people are struggling with mental health, it sort of takes away the threat and the isolation, doesn't it, and the fear of what could happen.
Yeah, and I think it's not assuming, you know, some people go, well, they're fine because they've got a house, they've got a family, they've got this.
They're always smiling.
Yes, they're always smiling. But like, what you don't know is actually they're going through, you know, an immense relationship breakdown. You know, the cost of living has impacted them. They're in debt. You know, we really don't know what's going on for people. So we just need to ask the question.
I think sometimes one of the scariest things is actually when there isn't anything going on. There is nothing.
Yes.
There is nothing happening. There is no bankruptcy.
Yes.
There's no relationship upheavals.
Agreed.
There's no grief. There's just unwellness.
Yes, yeah.
Mental unwellness. It's not okay.
Yeah.
And I've seen so many times with people who everything should be fine and hunky-dory, and yet it isn't. And I think that sometimes is one of the hardest things to address. Becky?
I think something that you've said there is that it should be okay. And I've lived a lot of my life thinking about the shoulds rather than
everybody
what the actuals
look at what other
are.
people are dealing with. Other people are dealing with so much. What have I got to moan about?
Yeah. And those shoulds are so damaging.
Yeah.
I think if we can get into the just being ourselves and understanding ourselves and understanding that sometimes we are low, sometimes we're depressed, sometimes we're stressed, sometimes we're going through something. You know, one of my mental health crises was when I was childless. Well, I am childless, not through choice. So trying to get pregnant was just such an awful time for me. But it was something I felt I couldn't share in the workplace because the stigma of, oh, well, God, she's going to go off on maternity leave and she's going to do this and she's going to do... So that added to the problem for me that I couldn't... I just did not feel like I could talk about that at work. And that caused terrible problems, actually.
Because it's literally, it's bottling it up, isn't it? It's not telling your truth.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I would say if it exists within you, it's important. You know, if there's hardship, if there's low mood, if there's stress, and you'll know within you, because you'll know something doesn't feel right. I don't feel myself. I'm angry when I wake up in the morning. You know, I can't manage simple things that I used to. There's an indication there. Your body is trying to tell you something. You're getting headaches all the time, aches. It's your body trying to let you know there's a warning, there's something going on.
Do you know that's key, isn't it?
Yes.
It's about
self-awareness, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's about listening into that and going, okay, why am I getting these headaches? Do I have a brain tumour? Do I need to go to the doctor? Right, okay, no. What? That's not that. What else? What else could it possibly be? And coming back to the, you know, I should be okay because I've got this, that, and the other, and other people are far worse off. There's a wonderful thing in in a Bill Bryson book, and if you've never read Bill Bryson, I think this is the one where he's growing up as a child. He said he was made to eat his dinner because there were other children in the world who were starving. Okay. And he said, well, will it help if I send them these sprouts then? but that's sort of send them this because I don't want it.
That's brilliant.
And it's you know, it's about just being yourself and owning and dealing with what you've got and not doing this balancing act of I shouldn't be moaning because of X, Y, and Z. There will always be somebody worse off than me.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. Absolutely. Go back to my example. Yeah, absolutely. You're so right. And you're right about the whole ownership of it and self-awareness and recognising that, yes, okay, I'm not feeling quite 100%. I can't put my finger on as to what it is. I know I'm on a low mood, but I'm just going to try and make the day. I think positive mantras, I have quite a few of them.
Yeah. Wine.
Why? Every day. My daughter calls it mummy juice. Mummy juice. Yes, I'm not an alcoholic. It is moderation.
Disclaimer. I love the disclaimer.
Did you see that? Hey, I'm not an
The hand went up and everything.
Oh yeah, no, it was
Easter holiday.
We saw that. It's a good job it's radio. I'll tell you what, wine and pies works all the time. Wine and pies, without fail.
Maybe I should
mine would be Doritos.
Doritos
and wine.
Actually, I do a nice line in wine and cheese and onion crisps.
Ooh.
I know. In fact, that's my perfect starter.
I'd love that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
if you're inviting me round for dinner, please do, by the way.
Yes, okay.
But don't expect me to talk. There won't be, despite what you can hear going on, there won't be any before dinner
be
talking. Wine and crisps, I'm done. I don't need
There we
anything
go.
fancy. That's it.
Perfect.
Cheap
date.
Write that down.
Cheap as crisps. Okay, we are going to come back with just a final tip from Laura later. However, we're going to do our quick fire round, and I've moved the order around here,
Oh, fabulous.
so I'm not quite sure whether we're going to get it all in, but we're going to give it a go. So, do you want to start off with our number one controversial question? I think.
Oh God, there's a
You
controversial
can't read
one.
it, can you?
Yeah.
Do you want me to do it?
Is everything
this what we need to
controversial?
answer?
No, not
Okay.
everything's controversial.
Well, you start then.
Okay.
Okay.
What's your biggest failure
that one.
Oh, that is a really good question. What is my biggest failure?
ever?
Ever. Oh, wow. What God, you can tell how positive I am. This is terrible, isn't it? I'm so sorry.
Oh no!
I know.
Don't you start me
I
on
know.
positive thinking. I've
No,
got
gosh.
a war raging against
Oh,
positive
have you?
thinking.
Okay,
Yes.
right. Well, we won't go into that.
No,
But
what's your biggest failure?
I would say I signed up to be in the Met Police as a detective, so the detective scheme, and I got through to the first stage, and I didn't get through to the second stage, and I think that was a time in my life where I thought, right, this is the direction I wanted to go in. I wanted to work with child protection, and I found that a big failure, actually.
Okay.
However, now looking back,
Yeah.
best thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have liked to be in the police.
I-
It scared me. It would
yeah,
terrify me now.
I'm not sure if I actually see that as failure straight off,
Oh.
because to me it wasn't right.
True.
But anyway,
Yeah.
okay. So now let's. Oh, look, it's all in the wrong order. It's a
Don't
good job.
worry.
I have to see. Look, I've done a crap job again, haven't I? So what? We'll come to what have we learnt this week, actually, in a moment. So what we've learnt this week, what I've learnt this week, is to make sure that try not to do
They're in
your
order.
stuff at 7 o'clock in the morning when you have to leave at 7:30. So following on from biggest failure,
Okay, oh goodness.
what is your superpower?
Oh, public speaking. Yeah, in
Ah.
a nutshell, I could speak wherever. I could speak about, if you just said, Laura, go and speak about mental health to 1,000 people, I could do it.
How did you know that you could do that?
That's
did
a
you
really,
discover
really good
that?
question. Well, I mean, in school, I love to talk, if you've not realised already. And in school, I remember my very first time I had to do public speaking was English literature. And my teacher even laughed at me and was like, right, let's see if you can basically be a good public speaker like you are a talker in my class. So there was a little bit of pressure there. And I really enjoyed it. But from then, I actually think it was working for my last job, Minds. I think
Okay.
that I was pushed into lots of community events. I was pushed to talk to lots of different people. I was asked to go on stage and talk about the work that we did. So I think that really up-leveled my confidence. But it was practice. I think if you can talk to one person, you can talk to 1,000 people. It's no difference. It's just you've decided that 1,000 people was scarier than one. They're all the same. I've
Yeah.
still got to go and do the talk.
Yeah.
So, I would say public speaking is my superpower.
Super. What we are going to do now is we're going to bring Katrina into the conversation as
Ooh.
well. So, what
Okay.
have you learnt this week?
This week, I had something in the diary that I was supposed to do, and I decided that I wasn't going to do it. And because it's Easter, I want to take some time off, and I've really enjoyed not doing and committing to things. Yeah. That's
Okay.
my biggest thing. I've always felt that I've needed to fill the diary in, or where there's a space, I've kind of felt
Quick
like,
stuff something in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like, it
okay.
needs to be productive. And I tell you what, I've had 3 walk and talks with other businesswomen this week, got my steps in, been out, done the wellbeing tick and all of that.
Really good.
Also with children in tow. And I've agreed a collaboration with someone from a walk and talk this week.
Wow.
So, and that was not planned stuff. So I've learnt that free time is the most important time.
Love that.
And it can still be
Don't ram your
productive.
diary. Don't ram your.
Yeah.
Don't
Hugely.
leave some wiggle room
Yeah.
for things to go wrong or other opportunities to come in.
Exactly, hence me here today.
So, what have you learnt this week?
Oh, what have I learnt this week? Oh, put me on the spot.
Yes.
I have learnt this week. My mind has gone completely blank.
Shall we come
back to me?
Come back
Yeah,
to you.
Come back to me.
What are you reading at the moment? Reading, listening to.
So scripts for my children at the moment. That's what I'm reading at the moment. Boring.
Yeah. So you're
preparation scripts.
reading.
Yeah.
You're reading. What is that thing? Like
Oh no, this is something separate.
No, but the amount of reading time that you have at the moment
Right.
is taken up with reading scripts and that
Pretty
sort of thing.
much. Yeah,
It sounds quite impressive,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
It does. No. But one thing that I'm going to start learning more about is live streaming. So I've got a big book on how to do live streaming events. That's going to be my homework for next week.
Oh, I can tell you how not to do it, if you
Excellent,
like.
thank you.
Okay,
Yes, please.
I'm not going to mention the platform now, but I can tell you exactly if you
Right,
want
I'll
to
take that
drive
away.
yourself and everybody else completely and utterly insane. Don't do that. Have you come up
I've
with
got
what
one.
you've learned?
I've got
Right,
one.
okay.
I've actually learnt to stay still a little bit. Where I've just started my business, I am keeping busy for keeping busy, and I'm not really doing any income-producing activities or making great change. I'm looking at spreadsheets, I'm changing a few things on my computer, but it's actually a waste of time. So, so I've actually recognised that it's okay to take a step back sometimes, go
Yeah.
for a walk, do something different. I don't need to be solidly on my computer from 9 to 5.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
Presenteeism, we
yes.
call that. If we were
Yes, that is it.
if it's somebody in an
Yeah.
office, it's that person who's there at 9 o'clock at
Yeah.
night. But what are they doing? They're picking their
Nothing.
nose and playing on Facebook.
There we go.
Yes.
So that's what I've read. It's okay to step
I
away.
wasn't insinuating that you're picking
It's
your nose
okay.
whilst you're looking at your
Well,
spreadsheet.
I've got the face for radio, so
So basically, you don't have to. You
Yeah.
don't have to be busy all the time.
yeah, definitely.
Stop.
Yeah.
We hear that a lot, don't we? Just
Yeah.
about stopping.
Yeah.
Are you reading or listening to anything at the moment?
I I listen to podcasts all the time. One that I really recommend is called The Mindset Mentor. He just like really short 20-minute podcast episodes, which I love. So I always kind of talk about him. And another thing I'm reading is 7 Steps to Manifesting Your Best Life, I believe. I'm recommending it now, but if I'm honest, I'm finding it a little bit boring. So maybe we can mix it up. No, probably mix it up. I think it's good if you don't know much about manifestation or law of attraction, but I know quite a bit. So I think it's a little bit mundane for me. But I have just bought a book about your subconscious mind that I'm really looking forward to reading. Because I think we were talking earlier, Becky, wasn't we, about, there are a lot of things that work on a conscious level, but subconsciously, when we go deep, there's a lot going on there. So, yeah, I'm excited to read that book. I can't tell you who it was by. Apologies.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. We can always sort out how to
Yeah.
publish it later.
No, right.
Okay, top tips. So top tips on productivity. So that could be a tool, that could be a technique, it could be a bit of software, it doesn't matter. Who's going to go first?
Someone mentioned a diary to me this week, and I can't remember, was it Brown something diary? Where everything's chopped up in 30 minutes.
Yeah,
In a
okay.
diary. I can't remember. So there are other diaries, not sponsored. But yeah, so chunking up your time in 30-minute slots. Now, I didn't realise, but I actually already do this. And I set alarms on my phone every 45 minutes. One, to obviously move and get up, because sometimes when I'm editing...
It's the way you say obviously.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't. Yeah, say obviously. It's not obvious to everybody, hence why, you should do it. So, yes, I could be editing for like 3 hours. If I'm doing a video,
Yeah.
it could be 3-4 hours. So I do set reminders to get up and move about and get back to it. So I'm kind of already doing it, but I didn't realise subconsciously, going back to the
There we
subconscious
go.
action. So chunking up your time.
Yep.
Yeah.
30-minute slots.
Yes.
Okay, I
That's
like
mine.
that.
I think there's a method called, and I'm going to get this wrong, but the Pomodoro method
Yes.
or something like that, which I think is 25 minutes with a 5-minute break.
Yes,
And then you repeat
it's
that.
Pomodoro.
Yeah. Oh, well done.
It's
Really
it's
cool.
based on the little sort of tomato timer, I believe.
There we go.
Makes sense. Well, there you go. So if you don't have the app, get a tomato timer.
And it's you can get an app on the phone. There's all sorts of
can,
Pomodoro timers. There's a focus timer, that sort of thing, and it just makes you stop. Because I'm a great one. I could sit there for like hours
Absolutely,
and hours and hours doing really.
Sort of.
I was going to be a bit ruder, but okay. Doing. I think I'm doing stuff a bit like what you were saying, Laura. You just sit there opening and closing. That's when I
Yeah.
know when I start opening and
Admin
closing
stuff or
tabs.
making
If I
things
start
prettier.
opening and
Yeah.
closing tabs on the thing,
Time to leave.
Yeah,
Time to get your wine and
it's time,
cheese.
it's time to stop because I'm not doing anything at all. Did we have your productivity tip, Laura? No.
I would say look at your list of things to do and prioritise them. So what is the most important, and then start with the most important, because a lot of people, we procrastinate, we do things that aren't important, and then we don't get stuff done and we stress ourselves out. So tackle the most important.
I like that one. I'm a great one. I don't eat my frogs. I open and close apps.
Yes.
So, what's been your top challenge this week? We're going to go with you, Trina.
top challenge this week would be
clearly nothing to do then.
No, well, because it's Easter holidays. I'm taking time off.
Has your top challenge been actually taking time off?
Yes.
Oh, slowing down.
Yeah.
Slowing down is anybody that knows me knows that I'm kind of always in the fast lane, and it's been I've recently had a studio move, so I've kind of been forced to change.
It's been challenging, hasn't it?
It's been a bit of a challenging week, and so I think this week is my.
I would think that's emotionally challenging as well as
draining, physically, emotionally, acceptance. So I've kind of gone through that 7 stages.
I think we possibly ought to. I think we possibly ought to explain that Katrina has a studio which for some reason sort of totally out of her control to do with properties, landlords, all of that sort of thing. She now doesn't have. And it was all quite abrupt, wasn't it?
Very, very abrupt, very quick. But with me, I never stand still too long, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. So the move happened very quickly. And I didn't really have that time to kind of digest that and say goodbye to my space. Yeah, so that's happened. Yeah. But I'm good with it.
Oh, I like that. Say goodbye to my space.
Yeah.
But perhaps you can do that remotely.
Yes.
Don't do it now.
No, I can go back in there.
I can see the eyes watering.
Give me some tissue.
We're not going to do that now. No.
Yeah, say goodbye to your space like that.
Have you had a top challenge this week? Well, I say this week. I mean, let's be honest. We won't know. Okay, it could have happened 2 weeks ago or last month. We won't know.
I think sleeping at the moment. I've been waking up with ideas or just waking up in general. So I think sleep for me has been a bit impacted this week. But it's okay. I've still been working hard. I'm sure I'll have a bit of sleep tonight. But yeah, I think sleep definitely.
Right. Before we forget, how can people get hold of you, Laura?
So you can access me at lauraburke.co.uk, where you've got all my information about mental health training. I also own or run or create, I don't know what you call it, but I also have my own podcast. It's called You Do You Hun, a way to inspire people, to motivate and give them direction. So if you want a bit of direction in your life, come at me. I don't even know my own podcast. You Do You Hun, and it's all on all platforms. And what else? Yeah, you can follow me at Laura Louise Burke on Instagram if you fancy it. I might just make your day, I might not, but we'll see. So yeah, that's where you can find me, lauraburke.co.uk. Thank you.
We haven't finished.
Oh, okay. It's like I'm wrapping up.
Yeah, no, I just like to get that in.
Oh, okay.
I like to get that in so that you think you're off the hook when you're not.
There's another challenge.
There is more.
Okay.
But also, otherwise, I just forget.
Cool.
And then
I
people
like that.
don't know how to get hold of you unless they sort of catch it on the what is that thing we publish it? Yes. So. Back to a few basics. So going back to your key topic, which is, I think we said, identifying and sparking conversations around mental health in yourself as a business owner or with your staff, collaborators, whoever it is. What is your top tip for that?
For supporting staff?
Yeah, for your top tip within your sort of industry speciality. If there was one thing that you could say to somebody out there listening in who is a business owner, either one-man band or working with other people, what's the top tip? What's the top thing that you would suggest they do?
Give people time. Give people the time, because a lot of us, we're frantic and we're working at such a high pace that we're not understanding where people are at, and it's just giving people a little bit of time to say, look, I know that you're slammed this week with tasks. Is there anything that we can do to make this easier, or is there anything we can implement? It literally is giving people time, but also giving yourself time. Like you said about your diary and having free space, it's really important because we are working at like 100 miles an hour. So it's giving time.
I mean, if you fill your diary up, and I see this so often, I see so many people who are productivity experts or are business experts or whatever, and they're nailing it and slamming it, and you name it, they've hit it this week with something like whack-a-mole. That thing, boom, 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 that thing. It is that they, they sometimes publish their diaries, and there isn't. You couldn't get anything in between their schedule, and it's doomed to failure, isn't it? Because there's 100%. Absolutely no way that anybody can control absolutely everything in their life. Something is going to happen that is going to mean that you can't make that appointment, or even if that appointment is with yourself, that you're not going to be able to do it. It just happens.
that wiggle room you were talking about, wasn't it?
You know, there has to be wiggle room for stuff to go wrong, and there has to be wiggle room, I think, for us to have some downtime.
I would also say as well, scheduling time for yourself. So important. People don't do that, do they? You know, look at the diary, they're seeing everyone else, but there's nothing in there for them. The walk and talk's what you said, or, you know, just being in silence for 10 minutes or whatever you might need. That is valuable, really valuable for people.
And I think it's difficult if you do have children, if you're running a business from home, and especially if you're feeling guilt.
Yes.
See, I don't. There's no guilt. I don't. My kids are sort of 35 now, so I don't have that issue anyway. And I'm in business with my partner, so there isn't a case of, oh God, I've been spending. I spent 12 hours on my business today. I better go and see them.
Yeah.
But if you are in those sort of circumstances, it's really, really, really difficult to actually give to yourself when you feel as though you've been already taking all of that for you to run your business, and now you have to go and give more of yourself to other people, your obligations.
Yeah. Habit stack.
Yeah.
That was so if you've got
No, go on.
Habit stack. So if you've got a habit already, whether it's brushing your teeth, commuting to work, whatever it might be, add something in there. That's the best way you can do it to look after yourself. So whenever you're doing something, add in another habit.
Habit
stack.
Excuse me,
the
just
best way.
stealing that. Hang on.
So think about something you do every single day, and then what can you add to it for you?
Okay.
So you could listen to a podcast. You could put on a motivational speech. You could be squatting while you're brushing your teeth. You could be running up and down the stairs or something like that. Are you? Let's do it. Let's do it. And you can. Why not? Why not squat?
That's not.
Yeah. If you could see us right now, we're all pulsating.
My vision was like scrunched up in a corner of the bathroom with the toothbrush. That's sort of about what happens anyway.
You could even hold your stomach muscles or something like that. I've lost them. Sorry, everyone. They're gone.
So actually, squatting is like Becky, sorry.
No, don't worry. This image now is going to stay with me, which is rather marvellous. But there we go. I was having a chat with my coach this week because I get in my own way a lot. I spend a lot of time overthinking things and procrastinating, opening too many tabs, as you said. And one of the things that she said to me was, if you can think about the space that you'll give yourself if you just get the thing done so that you're not thinking about it anymore.
Oh, yes.
Rather than
I like
the diary,
that. Yes.
being firm about when it's done. It's like giving yourself the extra space. And that's changed my perception, and I'm hoping that's going to help me.
I like that. Give yourself the space. Yeah. Very, very last question, I promise.
Okay.
What do you know now that you wished you'd have known when you started out?
In business or just in general?
That's your choice.
I wish that I knew years ago that it was okay to rely on people, because I think the reason that I became so unwell was the fact that I thought that I had to manage everything myself. I had to be the strong one. I had to look after other people. And I wish I knew that it was okay for me to have a space and it was okay to share my experiences, because if I knew that then, I would have got help a lot earlier and I probably wouldn't have gone through all the hardship that I did. So it would probably be for someone to say to me, it's okay to open up. It's okay to talk out about how you feel. You're not strange. There's nothing wrong with you. You're human. You're normal. You've had experiences that were difficult. No wonder you're feeling like this. That's what I would have loved. So, yeah.
Laura Burke from Laura Burke Training and Consultancy Limited, a mental health podcast, a mental health specialist. Thank you so much for being on the radio show today. Also in the studio, thank you so much, Becky Collwell, and of course to my co-host Katrina.
Hello. Squatting in the corner with a toothbrush.
I'm still squatting.
She's still squatting.
I'm still squatting in my bathroom.
You're going to have a fantastic bath.
With a toothbrush.
Who says I don't have already?
No. You see, I think this is where the confusion is. I think to you, squatting is getting up and down.
Yeah, what
repeatedly.
Do you think squatting is?
Squatting to me is like I'm down there.
There's no coming up.
I am on the floor. Okay, I'm on the floor with. Yes,
that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
I'm squatted.
I love that.
Right, okay, I think I do think we better go, don't you? Before it all becomes a bit unnecessary. Okay. We will be back very, very shortly, so stay tuned and we'll catch up with you soon with I've forgotten who we are. I The Women in Business radio show. That was it. We'll be back soon.
Oh, that was so cute.
Tune in next week to the Women in Business radio show for more stories, ideas, and inspiration to help you grow your business.